Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Jeanette and I am so excited. Here's what we're going to do for a couple of videos. I don't know if they're going to be right in a row, but this is what I want to do. I have a membership called the Thriving Village Alliance. It's a great membership. We meet weekly and we go through a workbook. Now, it's basically a Bible study, but it's a workbook because I didn't want to say it was a Bible study. So I wrote a workbook, Bible study, and I wanted to go through a couple of weeks with you. So the first quarter that this is coming from was our fall quarter of 2024. So I'm just pulling up that workbook, Bible study, and we're going to go through it. Not all of it, but I want to kind of give you a feel for it. And just so you know, if you want this workbook, Bible study, it's linked below and you can buy it for cheap. And you can buy a couple of them and you can sit down with your girlfriends and you can go through it together and it'll be great. It'll be bonding. It'll be awesome. So anyways, we're just going to go through a couple of these. But today I'm going to start with week 1, which is mom guilt, something a lot of moms struggle with. And here's the deal. If we want to like ourselves, we have to let go of some stuff. So I'm going to be looking at the workbook. It's here on the side of my screen. I'm not going to share it via screen because that's too much work, if I'm being completely honest with you. So I'm going to be looking over here, just so you know, dual things. Week 1 is all about liking you. I want you to like you. God made you. He likes you. Why don't you like you? If your friends like you, why don't you like you? Like, you are worth liking. I just want you to know that. Like, number 1, as a human, you're awesome. Number 2, why don't you like you? Trust me, I struggle with this myself. I know it can sound selfish because we're moms, but sometimes we need to make sure that we are good so that we can care for other people. We were never meant to go through this alone, so we need a village. That's why I have a village for you. If you want to join the village or get on the wait list for the village, again, that link is below. Get on the wait list. We will open back up in April. Anyways, I want you to like you. That's where this is all starting from. I struggled liking myself for a long time because I didn't think I could like myself. I didn't think it was good to like me. I thought it was too selfish to like me. But then I was like, wait a second. God really likes me. So then I had to think, okay, what do I need to get rid of that I don't like me for? Like, what do I need to kind of dig through? The first one's mom guilt. I need to get rid of some mom guilt because that's not helping me like me. Mom guilt is a name given to the feelings of guilt and shame. We don't like those feelings of guilt and shame. We don't need those. That's not of the Lord. Some people feel this way when they don't live up to their own expectations or others' expectations of them or their role as parents. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good work, which God has prepared for us ahead of time to do." So, number 1, you're God's handiwork. God created you. God created you. And he likes you. And not only did he create you, but he created you with work in mind. He was like, this one, I've got plans for her. And those plans, they're beautiful. They're your kids. They're your home. They're your job. He's got a lot of plans for you. I think guilt can be one of the biggest hindrances in liking ourselves because we think we have to measure up to expectations that we set for ourselves, expectations that maybe somebody put on us, a few things that we can identify, or like sift through to see if we struggle with these. I'm just going to read a couple of them. The workbook is jam-packed full of like these things. I want you to read through them and say like, oh yeah, this is one I struggle with. I'll tell you one I struggle with. Ensuring my kids' success. If they are not successful, it's my fault. What? No. But I think that. Balancing work and family. If I don't have this perfect work and family balance, I'm a terrible person. Perfect nutrition. This is also one I struggle with. If my kids don't eat vegetables, I'm a failure. I don't even eat vegetables. Am I a failure if I don't eat vegetables? No. I should eat more vegetables, but that doesn't make me a guilty mom. No. Creating perfect family memories. None of these things are things that we should be feeling guilt and shame over. If my friend came to me and said, my social life is not thriving, I'm a terrible person, I'd be like, I'm sorry, what? Yet I look in the mirror and I'm like, you are not being a good friend. You suck. That just, like, I do that to myself, but I would never to my friend, right? So like, what are we thinking? What are we talking about? So I really want us to sort through these things. What actually matters to you? Does the perfect memory matter to you? Does the vegetable being eaten matter to you? Like, what actually matters to you? As it, like, if your friend were to come to you and be like, man, these things, like, I'm really struggling. And you'd be like, yeah, that sucks. You suck. No. What matters? Find the things that matter to you. And then we're going to talk about condemnation, because that is where this is coming from. The Bible reminds us that in Christ, like, we are of Christ, we are from Christ, we are free from condemnation, and we need to let those things go, let the guilt go, and embrace God's grace. I'm going to read this. It's a little wordy. Stay with me. Stay focused. Condemnation refers to the expression of a very strong disapproval and the act of declaring someone guilty and deserving of punishment for the state of being condemned. In biblical or theological context, condemnation often refers to divine judgment or the declaration of someone is guilty of sin. Someone is guilty of sin, resulting in punishment or separation from God. Okay. When we are guilting ourselves, we are declaring us as someone guilty of sin. Now, I'm reading this, and you have to know, I said when we are guilting ourselves and declaring us as someone guilty of sin, making chicky nug nugs minus the broccoli florets for dinner 2 times a week, is that a sin? Are you guilty of sin in that? Are you deserving to be separated from God because you made chicky nug nugs 2 times this week? Absolutely not. Would you tell your friend that she was sinning if that was her? This is the guilt that we're placing on ourselves. Like, and it's laughable when we like say it out loud like this, right? When we're like, when we are owning mom guilt and sitting in that mom guilt, and we're like, I am sitting in condemnation. Like, nobody's actually saying that to themselves, because I just don't feel like we talk like that. But when we're like sitting in guilt, and that's what's happening. Like, we're just like, we're being so ugly to ourselves that we're like, no, we need to stop that. We need to walk in forgiveness and a new beginnings, new blessings, all of that. So we need to embrace forgiveness for ourselves. We have to be nicer to ourselves. We do not speak that way. We do not condemn ourselves because of silly things. We are kind and loving to the people we are, because we are made in Christ's image. And God bless the chicky nug nugs. Come on. We need to embrace forgiveness, both from God and from ourselves. This allows us to move forward without the weight of guilt. Just like, what are we thinking when we're like, this is who I am? I'm a bad mom. No. What are we thinking? Are your kids, this is where I want to shake you, but I can guarantee you later today that I'm going to look in the mirror and be like, what's the heck's wrong with you? So I know that we have a long way to go. Trust me. Isaiah 43:18-19 says, do not remember past events. Pay no attention to the things of old. Look, I'm about to do something new. Even now it's coming. Don't you see it? Indeed, I will make a way in the wilderness, rivers in the desert. Now, if we're going to get all biblical and say like, well, that's not the context. Okay, sure. You're right. I'm sure you're right. But here's what we can do. We can sit with ourselves feeling guilty and be like, well, there's no biblical thing that's going to help me here. Or we can say like, don't remember the things of old. Did I blow up and was I yelling at my kids last week? Probably. But did I ask for forgiveness for that? Did I walk in forgiveness of that? Did Jesus die on the cross for my sins and that? Yes. So don't remember that. Don't sit in that guilt and condemnation, but instead he says, look, I'm doing something new. So own that, like, walk in that. We are not to be held down by the sins of our past, especially if we are believers, and especially if we are able to say like, Jesus changed my life. Like, let's focus on where we are going instead of what we did in the past. We are letting go of the nasty self-condemnation that we are operating under, and we are walking in grace and freedom, and we are doing our best in looking for all the new that God has for us. Mom guilt be gone. And when it shows its ugly face, we need to share with our people. We need to talk to our people. I think that telling a friend is really important. It's like, hey, I've been really beating myself up about XYZ. Sometimes it's like, hey, I need accountability in this. Like, I don't want to be an angry mom. I want to be a happy, loving mom. I want to be slow to anger and quick to love. So talking to our friends about that, and then like having accountability and walking in that, but not shaming and guilting ourselves in that. No, changing, making a new way. We need to do that. So when it shows its ugly face, we need to tell our people, hey, I'm really struggling here again. And they're like, okay, cool. And pray together, be with people. There's a reason why we believe in a village, why we need a village. We don't let the things take root. We take every thought captive. So what are you struggling with? Where is your mom guilt coming from? What is that root piece? How can you get to the bottom of it? Where did it come from? What is causing you mom guilt? Read the workbook. Get the workbook. Go through it. This is a little bit of homework that's in it. So we need to shed the shame. We need to get rid of the guilt. And then we need to walk in the newness that God has for us. I'm so excited to work through some of this workbook with you. We're not going to go through every week, but this is one that I feel is really important because I think that as moms, we have this really high expectation that we feel like we need to meet. And when we don't meet it, or if we mess up, then we're just like, I'm never going to be a good mom. And that's not true. And if you think to yourself, I'm never going to be a good mom, and then you're holding on to these things, you're seeing yourself through these like jaded lenses. And that's not what I want for us. I want us to like ourselves, because as we like ourselves, we're better parents, we're better partners, we're better friends. Our connection with the Lord is sweeter because we believe that He created us for this place and this season right where we're at, just like in Esther, for such a time as this. So I just want you to take some time this week, check out the workbook. It's linked below. It's a great workbook. You're going to love it. And it's going to help you love yourself. And that's so important to me. I want you to like you. Okay. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Make sure you're following my YouTube channel. You can follow along on TikTok and on Instagram. But I'm here working through this workbook with you. We'll probably do 3 or 4 more. And then we'll start the next workbook in a couple weeks, which is deepening our relationships with others. So, and if you want to join us on the Thriving Village Alliance, there's also the waitlist below. You can get in on that. Links. But really and truly, I want to just sit with you and remind you that God made you special and He loves you very much. And that's what VeggieTales taught me. And that's what VeggieTales taught my kids. But that's what I want to tell you. God likes you. He made you. And He's not waiting for you to change. He's waiting for you to accept you for who you are, for who He created you to be. Don't separate yourself from God because you feel some sort of way. Don't do that. Okay. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.